What? Teams are back? I finally got the achievement 13 years later! Yes! Alright, so in my last video, I talked about measurements and how the EU measurements don't add up to US measurements. Well, a comment pointed out something so stupid that I thought that they wouldn't do it until I looked further into it. This person said they used yards, but called it meters. And I wanted to verify that. We could take the first follow mission and see that 300 feet does equal 100 yards. And I just thought that was just for that challenge, or maybe any one of these challenges that require you to be a certain distance away from a certain character, but not for the actual personal stats. Well, if we go back to the height of flat, 43.3 feet obviously doesn't equal 14.4 meters. But if I change the meters to yards, that means all of EU and anyone that uses the metric system has been on burger metrics this entire time, and you can't even blame America for this one, for the game was developed in Canada. USA! 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 Alright, before we get into any of this, I have an announcement to make. And no, this is not an ad sponsor. Seriously, who thought this was a great collab? And I also know that the flashing number on the screen telling you where to skip in order to continue through the video looks very promising, but please hear me out. Alright, so look at this. Skate 2 Rob Dyrdek Fantasy Factory DLC. Boom! It's in Skate 3. What? How is that possible? Wait, check this out, Danny Way's Mega Ramp from Skate 2. Boom! It's in Skate 3 as well. Oh my god, that's incredible! But how is this done? Through mods, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. Every mod that I'm about to showcase in this video has come from the modding server. You can join it and get your mods, but however, there's only so many people that are on the actual modding team and actually have free time to add more mods to this game. That's why I am doing a call to action. Anyone that knows how to program, people who know C#, Python, PowerPC assembly, and or knows any knowledge in software reverse engineering, just any knowledge in order to join this group. For there is a server for getting mods, and there's a separate server for making mods. And in this server comes all the resources that you need to have. If you have any knowledge of the prior information I just told you, or you don't know any, but you have a friend that does, please recommend this video and increase the modding team. There's currently things that are in development right now as I'm speaking. Right now, they are working on maps from Skate It to port to emulator. The whole world from Skate 2 New San Vanalona is very close to porting to Skate 3 as well, and they have future plans of porting the original Skate San Vanalona to emulator. For people who are really into realistic, there's a reflip mod that makes it more realistic than hardcore, and potentially future stuff like decompiling this whole game in order to run this game on Windows and not having to rely on an emulator. And possibly get the servers to work on Skate 1 and 2 since they're shut down. So please, join this server if you have any programming knowledge, and Gavin can help you pinpoint to where to start. Thank you for listening, and once again, there's a server for mods to get and a server for mods to make. Now let's get on to the video. So in my last video, I transitioned to this video to talk about how mods can break Skate 3, such as no fall damage when going past the speed cap. But before we get into that, I have a mod to show you. I recently found the offset to find the threshold of when Skate 3 tells you your metrics on airtime, grind, manual distance, all of that jazz. Currently, in vanilla Skate 3, if I were to ollie, it wouldn't tell me how high I ollied. So, if I took this offset and set it to 0, it will always tell me how much air I've got. And you can clearly see, if I were to high pop, it would tell me I just got over 2.5 feet. But then I thought, how high do you actually low pop on hardcore? Okay, no more funny business. Let's get to the actual show here. Actually, now that I think about it, all of this is funny business. But you know what's not funny? Party play. And with party play, you can only play with pro skaters and not your career skater. That's why there is a mod to play with career skaters. However, this is mainly due to how the mod is made and not how Skate 3 works. The reason why we have this in the first place is because someone like me, who likes to chase scores and own the spots or one-ups, have an easier time using my skater and not a pro skater, because my skater comes with my stance, style, and posture. And that is all very important when going for scores. The mod is made by replacing every free skate skater with your skater. Well, to put it simply, there is a blanket value for all skaters, and you can just change that one value to your skater. Meaning, the downside to this is that if I go into free play, you can see all these pro skaters, but if I click on one of them, I'm still my skater. But if you don't like how this mod is made, maybe you can join the modding team and make a better mod for it. Yeah, cool, thanks. Another mod that could also be helped to make better are the Skate 2 DLC mods. Right now, if you were to stand AFK, sometimes you'd just be stepping along the map. That's due to where the map is actually positioned in the world. How Skate 3 works, and most like any game works, the farther you go out from 0-0, wherever that is, the more glitchy your textures will look. And the way that the Skate 2's maps are set up are the same locations to where they got them from Skate 2. For some reason, Skate 2 decided to place their maps way out into the void. And you might get some silly side effects that go along with it. There's potential to create a tool to where you can move all the models, textures, collisions, and any kind of map information closer to 0-0 so we don't have these bugs. Oh, I forgot. If you saved a replay in one of these maps and you weren't loaded in that map while viewing that replay, the map's just not there. So this could be fixed if you join the server. Now that those two things have been discussed and mentioned, we can now move on to the actual side effects to Skate 3 modding. How is he doing that? The running on air mod. Walk off any ledge and you'll stay at the same height. If you walk off a slope, you'll stay at the same slope of the angle that it's on. But there's a catch. You just can't jump. Come on, just jump! Jump! So there's a mod I've been using for the past couple years now in every video I've made, and that's the Clean Replays mod. In Skate 3, if you view a replay, you generally have this fisheye lens and the LS show, or the L3 show, depending on what console you're on, always appearing on the screen. It's never a clean replay, and that's what this mod's for. It gets rid of the fisheye, and it gets rid of the text on the bottom left. The caveat is, that button is just a button tied to the other buttons on the screen. So if I were to enable that, all the other buttons that are on my menu are gone. Now, for the actual fun stuff, like flying. Mods like these, where it affects the skater's attributes, can also affect... Wait, what happened? Why did I reset? Oh, that's right, I have to enable the Hall of Meat timer. Forgot that existed. Like I was saying, when this mod is enabled, not only do you fly upwards, but objects can also fly with you as well. And that also includes your board. When being on your board, it is a lot harder to turn left and right. And also, sometimes if you go up slopes, you end up floating. Turning up run speed is supposed to make you run faster. But I don't feel like I'm running faster. Oh, there we go, okay. But because I have this on, this also affects NPCs and how fast they move. Just look at that unnatural walk cycle. Another thing that can affect AI skaters or NPCs is the ollie height. I should come up with a different joke. This is getting too stale. Now that's funny. Yes, so increasing your ollie height will also infect other AI skaters. But make sure you don't set the ollie height too high, otherwise they have no idea what to do. Oh, you know what this pose reminds me of? In the Skate 2 map we have ported to Skate 3, going to Mega Park is like going to the Skate 2 world, but we only have this Mega Park section. However, the AI map knowledge is still there, just not loaded, so when the AI crosses into a part of where it's not loaded, they just... NPCs. You can make them bigger, but for some reason they only get affected when you're close to them. Otherwise, they'll just stay the same. So you know how your board is an object, and you remember the bit I just did moments ago. Well, that was because I used fail gravity, which also affects object gravity. By turning this value all the way to 100, you have increased the gravity on your board, making you able to turn quicker and not turn so much when walking. But when you're on a slope, it provides more downforce, and more downforce means more speed. But this does make hitting half pipes a little awkward. But by lowering the gravity, not only does your board start floating a lot more when you're on it, power slides end up giving you speed at certain angles. So I got a question. Y'all heard of this? Gravity 2, which is completely different from Gravity 1. Gravity 1 is like what you would think of any other gravity. You get lower gravity, higher airs, more tricks to do. It's great. Gravity 2, however, you lower that, it just becomes sensitive to every polygon on the street. Not only does it cause power slides to stop on a dime, it kills your momentum for foot plants and no complies. Also, it doesn't seem to want to fly upwards, but it will be attracted to anything that has a ceiling. No fall. What does this mod do? You don't fall. Sometimes. It depends on what trick. What trick that always works is the dark catch. And while you're in a dark catch, going down a hill, you might bounce to the sky. As fun as this mod looks, there's some downsides to this. As in, you can't do the backwards man. I mean, you could. I was told you could, but it's really, 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 really hard to do. But what's also really hard to do is seatbelt popping, just in general. But adding no fall makes it impossible. Why? Wheel hardness. Putting your wheels all the way soft gives it a value of 0. Putting your wheels all the way hard gives you a value of 1. But what happens if you go past 1 and let's say make it 10? You get bucked. Well, let's make it 100. Now let's make it 1,000. I think I just broke the speed cap. Okay, let's enable a speed cap mod and change it to infinite. I think I just broke my game. I'm gonna move locations. Yep, it's broken. Okay. Alright, now let's move on to speed and see what happens when you go too fast. We already know fall damage is already disabled. But what about the other things? Well, if you go too fast, you might get the case of the hover feet. This is more of a visual bug and doesn't affect gameplay. But I want to talk about this other mod, getting on your board speed. This changes the speed of which you run to get on your board. And there's some odd side effects that come along with it. If you up the speed, your spin rotation will lower. But if you lower the speed, the rotation will greaten. Okay, let's try some no fall, see what happens. But going back to raising that value to go faster, speed glitches just become a lot more faster. Here is a normal cannonball. Now here is the cannonball when having a faster get on board speed. Okay, now here is a regular backwards man. And now here is the modified backwards man. Now let's go back to Mega Park and launch off the Mega Ramp and see what happens. What? Why didn't I go anywhere? What? Let's try that again. It turns out when having this mod enabled, you just become a little bit more floaty and able to get higher airs. Switching gears, there are two ways to mod the game. One, through the native menu, and two, with the cheat table. And with this cheat table comes a little bit more mods that are just not in the native menu just yet. One of those mods is a running mod, which I already covered, but this one's a little bit different. By increasing the run speed, the animations of everything in this game become a lot more robotic. And, tying in with no fall, if I were to be in the dark catch position and flick out, I'd get popped into the air. By enabling the zombie cheat code, you can see this also affects the NPCs. Also, if you were to hippie jump down a hill, you'd just become Superman. One last thing, seatbelt pops, they're broken too. This next mod is something you might have seen if you saw my previous videos, the running ragdoll. Yes, you look really goofy, The downside is, most of the flip tricks you just can't do because you constantly bail. So, with the no-fall mod on... And yes, this does affect other AI skaters. Now we're moving on from skating to Hall of Meat. By turning up just the speed that you rotate in a tornado, you will begin flying. There are other mechanics to tweaking Hall of Meat settings, like stiffness and damping. Stiffness is for stuff like how high you could bounce off by pushing off the ground in a cannonball, or making you spaz out in a spread eagle. Or even spaz out even more doing a torpedo spin. And for the judo kick, not really much happens. Dampness weakens the extension of the pose and making it look more groggy as you pull it out. But if you were to turn both of these values into a negative value, the game just becomes unplayable. Not only that, when you go back to your board or try to respawn, you'll still be in this ragdoll glitchy state, and you can't do anything about it. There's also a tweak speed, which speeds up the animation to pull out one gesture to the next, meaning you could just be on the ground forever, sprawling for your life. Turning that value up way higher just makes you start vibrating across the floor. Fall gravity, changing the rate at which you fall at. If you turn it to a minus number, you fall faster. But if you turn it far enough, you'll fall fast enough to go rise up again, but if you were to do another pose, you'll shoot straight through the map. By turning up these two values to an ungodly amount, not only do you fly so far the camera can't keep up with you, the world starts to lag and the camera will start being displaced the longer you go. And finally, there is a park building mod, which allows you to build parks in the open world. And you can even use world terrain within the same world. What in the world? But the best part about this are cars. Cars do interact with the terrain, and you can make them run into these objects. Come on, man, just grind it. Alright, big air time. Let's do it, baby. Biggest disappointment of my life. That should do it. And that's my time. Here are the list of the mods that I used throughout this video that came from the modding server. So thank you to anyone who has helped contribute to these mods, or you can join this server to make more mods. Anyways, depending on what happens at the end of this year, determines my next video. So thank you guys for watching, and like always, I'm out.